Hi guys, this is Yoru, and I was just going to record a quick video on how I like to remove green screen. It's my favorite way to remove green screen and be able to keep all the little baby hairs. It's not the only way to remove green screen, there's a lot of different ways out there, but this is just the one that I prefer. So to start, here we have my character on a green screen. It's really good to have your green screen be at full brightness when you take the picture so that there's a very stark contrast between the green of her that might be on her, like say her eyes are green, and the green in the background. If for some reason your character is wearing something lime green that is very similar to your background, choose a different background color. Choose a really, really bright blue or bright yellow or bright pink, something that stands in very, very stark contrast to any other colors on your character. In order to remove the green screen, which is the first step, you are going to go up to the top left corner here, which I'll zoom in, and go to Select Color Range. It's going to open a box, and that looks like this. And you will need to make sure that you end up clicking this invert button here, because we're not actually trying to select the green and get that as our picture. We're trying to select the inverse of the green, which would be her. So you're going to hit invert. And I like to have a drop-down menu here of either grayscale, so I can see exactly the white part that's being picked, or I can go to black matte, and I can see my exact character here. So if for some reason you needed to click the green, usually it's smart enough to select it itself, but if for some reason it didn't, all you do is take your pointer and click on the green screen. If you happen to see little pieces of green left over in the corners, it probably just means that you have a little bit different shades of green going on, and you need to hold the Shift key, which brings a little plus onto the cursor, and you would select that green that you see that's left over. There is none on here, so I don't have to do that. This fuzziness bar here, I don't tend to move it from about 90. It just depends on the picture, how close I am in the picture. I've noticed that 90 seems to be a really good one for SL hair. If you do move it, you will note that the little pieces of hair around her come back and they seem a little bit thicker, or if you go this way, they go away. I like to keep mine at 90 just based on what I've learned about SL hair and how close I am right now. So pressing OK will select her, and you can see these little marching ants on her, around her. That's all her being selected. And in order to cut out the green now that we have her selected, we are going to go down here to the bottom right, which I'll zoom in on, and press this button here, which is a mask layer. And you're going to see a mask layer, see this layer turn into a mask layer. Go, and you will also see that it removed the green from around her and gave her a transparency background for now. I'm actually going to put in our our backgrounds, which I just conveniently have here. And I'm going to drop that in and go ahead and drag it behind her so that we have a background to work with. I suggest having a background to work with when you do this already, because you will need to match the color of her hair and these little pieces to whatever your background is soon. So it's much easier to obviously have a background to start. So we have her cut out. However, you can still see, if I zoom in here, there are these little stripes of green all around her. And then obviously her hair is very green. So we're going to take 2 different steps to get rid of that. First, we're going to worry about the green bar that's around her that's left over, and then we'll move on to the hair. So I'm going to zoom in kind of on her shoulder for the time being. And you're going to work in the layer mask. So again, let me zoom in over here so you can see what I'm doing. There are 2 boxes here. If you play on the left, you are actually affecting everything that is in this picture, including the background that you can't even see right now because the green is still here. It's just hidden. If you play with the right side, you are just playing with what you cut out, which is what we want to do right now. So in order to go into our layer mask, you are going to hit this button in the top right. So let me back out. In the top right up here, there is a select and mask button. and you are going to hit that. It's going to bring up a different box in your Photoshop, and we are going to play in here for a little bit. So in order to get rid of these green little lines that are left over, first we like to smooth them out and feather the outside of her. Yes, the green will still remain for one more step, but I usually pull over a few of these bars. I don't go above 10 when I do this, even on a very, very big picture, but I like to smooth the outsides, and you can actually see what it does. If it's over here, or if I pull it over here, it really smooths the outside edge of her, and then feather does the same type of thing, except it's obviously making it a lot softer. That's what feather means. I don't tend to touch the contrast bar, and I will pull down the shift bar the shift edge just a little bit, usually not above 6 or 7. And once I'm done with that, it kind of has softened the outside of her. The green line is still there, but it's softened the outside of her so it's not so jagged. And in the next step, we're going to actually get rid of that green line. So all we did was smooth the outside of her, which is our mask. So we're going to press OK. And I will scroll in so you can see it's no longer jagged, but that green line is still there. Our next step is to get rid of that green line. And in order to do that, we are going to come up here to our top left again and go to Filter, Other, and Minimum. It's going to open this minimum box right here. And what minimum does is gets rid of the minimum amount that you choose. So right now it's at 2 pixels around your entire cutout area. So our entire cutout of her, we are going to get rid of 2 pixels around her. Now I could choose something really heavy and get rid of like 5 or 6 pixels. I like to keep it around 2, between 1 and 2, so that it gets rid of just enough of the green line, but not too much of her actual body. So I'm going to go to 2 because I don't see any more green left over, and I'm going to press OK. And so now, ignoring her hair, because that's the next step, we have gotten rid of the green line that was around her. There's a tiny, tiny bit right here left, but we'll take care of that when we do the hair. But in general, the green line is gone from around her. And now we are going to do the actual hair part. So with the hair part, excuse me. So for the hair part, we are going to go back into this select and mask layer up here again, and it's going to pull open, there we go, it's going to pull open this outside change to our box, and we're able to go in here, and we were doing the smooth and the feather. Now we're actually going to this very smart button that Photoshop has, which is called Refine Hair. It is up here in the top left. And this is a later, I think it's after 2018 version of Photoshop that it's able to be smart enough to refine the hair itself. If you don't have this, you will play here on this second Refine Edge tool instead, and I will go over that in a second. But for now, we're going to actually hit the Refine Hair button, and what you're going to see happen when I do is all of the little baby hairs, Photoshop is usually smart enough to bring them back. So right now, I'm going to cam in so you can see. Right now they're a little bit jagged and they don't look that great. We want to bring them back, even if they're green. We want to bring back all the little baby hairs, and that's what Refine Hair does. So I'm going to hit it while with this close in so you can kind of see what happens. I will hit the Refine Hair button, and all it does is bring back just a little bit of the baby hairs so that we can go in and play with them and change them to be the right color. This is, again, the process of not losing all of these baby hairs, and so you don't have to draw a bunch of baby hairs, and that you can use really, really, really detailed hairs on a green screen and not lose them. So let me scroll out and just show you a little bit of what happened here. If I can, there we go. So all it did is bring back a little bit of the baby hairs, and it did a really good job. I'm going to press Control Z so you can see what happened, and then I'll hit it again. And watch down here on the left. Oh, not on the full screen. There we go. Sorry. So anyways, I undid it, and when I do it again, I'll watch kind of what happens with this hair here so that you can see how it refines it. There you go. So it got rid of the bulky green and it tried to grab all of the baby hairs. It did a really good job, but this button on the top left up here, which I did earlier when I was talking about versions that are before 2018, is called Refine Edge. Click that. And that way you can go over the hair and bring back any lasting baby hairs that the Refine Hair tool didn't get. And you can kind of see what it's doing as I scroll through and try to find all of the baby hairs. All I'm doing is just pressing the left click and coloring in all of the little tiny hairs that it lost and getting rid of the bulk. So I usually just go around the outside of the head after I've done the Refine Hair tool and just bring back all these little baby hairs that are left over. And there you go. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. And I'm actually going to undo and redo just so that you can see what happened when we did that whole process. So I will undo what we just did, and you can kind of see the hair is very not smooth, and the little baby hairs are there, but they're missing and they're jagged and they're very thick down here with the green. And so if I press redo to what we just did, you will see it refined it quite well and got rid of kind of the chunkiness of it, and now it's just looks like it's supposed to, except for the fact that it is the wrong color. So in order to now make all of this hair that is green the right color, it's the last and final step that we have. So in order to match hair, the way that I like to match hair and match this green is to make sure that we can actually target this green. The best way that we are able to do that is with a fun tool that is the hue and saturation tool. It's actually an adjustment layer, and adjustment layers are my favorite thing to do in Photoshop. This is a really simple one, but it is down here in the bottom right. We're going to go to this half moon here, and this is how you add adjustment layers. We're going to add a hue and saturation adjustment layer. It shows up right here on the layer panel, and I'm going to back up so that you can see what it does. If I were to right now mess with, let's say, the saturation of our picture, you are going to see the whole picture change, the background and the character, because we currently have this just sitting over the top of both of these pictures. Now, I want it to only affect my character. I don't want to change the background, so in order to do that, I am going to link it to my character, and the way that's done is with this button here, and it just links our current layer to the layer right below it. It's called an adjustment layer link. I'm going to push that, and then you will see down here, it is now pointing downwards to our layer, and it means whatever I do with this layer, or with this hue and saturation layer, is only going to affect the character layer. So now when I come over here and I play with the saturation, you will only see her change and not our background. This is why I like to keep the two layers separate, because it's really conducive to only messing with your character and changing the colors on them, and also being able to make lighting around them and that sort of thing as well. That's a whole other video. But with hue and saturation, we have now linked our layer to the one below it, and so we are only going to mess with our character, which is what we want because we only want to mess with her hair right now. So the next part of what you do in hue and saturation is, let me jump up here, there you go, is to pull down this master template up here and pick the greens, because we only want to mess with the green of her hair. Not the green of the background, not her green eyes, they're kind of blue, but not anything else but the green of her hair. So in order to do that, we have to make sure we're not on the master color, we are on the green colors. And so, we'll back up again. Actually, I'm just going to pull this over so you guys can see from up here. So what we're doing here is trying to make sure that we have exactly the green selected on her hair. That's really difficult just off the bat here. So the easiest way to see if you have the right green selected, because there are a million greens out there, is to pull down the saturation and try to make the green be gray. So I'm going to pull down all of the greens so that they're gray, and you can watch her hair literally go from green to a much darker color. As I zoom in here and pull it up so you guys can see, there's still a tiny bit of green left in her hair. So that means our green wasn't exact, right? Again, we want to make it all gray right now so that we make sure we have all of the green selected when we do start messing with the color. In order to pinpoint exactly the right green, you're going to come up here to this lovely bar, and it is our color selector. So I'm going to pull in this green section. There's 4 ticks that you can pull. I suggest don't go over here in the blue. It looks like we're kind of just missing this green. So I'm going to pull these around until I see the green start to go away in her hair and that we have selected the right green color. So if it all disappears, the green from her hair, and it becomes kind of this gray, non-green color, we have it selected correctly. So that's pretty close. I'll hide and unhide so you can see what I did. And so I don't see any green. I see a lot of not the right color, but I don't see a lot of green there. And so I think we have the right green selected. Now I'm going to back up just a little bit so that you can see. So the next step is to pull our saturation back up because we don't actually want it to be this exact color, back to 0. But now we know whatever we mess with, we are only messing with that green that is in her hair that we specifically selected. So you can see, let me back up. You can see right now, if I pull up the saturation, pull down the saturation, it is only messing with her hair, and that is the only thing that is changing. So we have full control of the colors, the color of her hair, the strands. So from here, you're going to mess with all 3 of these bars in your next step, and that is to just try and make the color of that green be the color of her hair. So I like to start with the hue bar up here, and I'll zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing. I like to mess up here. Let me zoom in and kind of get until I think about, the right color brown, and then maybe I'll pull down a little bit of saturation because she doesn't have red hair. She has this brown color. And this is a lot of just practice, getting the right color or what you think the right color is. It's very subjective. And you can play with these as long as you want, as long as you have the right green selected, which is the first step we did. So I'm going to go with about here, and I will back up so you can see again. So all I did was play with these 3 bars up here until I got the color that was green originally to become this kind of brown color that matches her hair a lot better. And there you go. She now has all her baby strands are left over. You literally haven't lost any piece of her hair that is an SL. It's really authentic for if you blog hair as well, because you're not drawing in hair and changing it. So it's really nice for the people that work really hard on hair, not to obviously draw in hair on Photoshop if you're using a green screen. But yeah, so this is how I change the color of her hair and to match, and how I get rid of green screen, and kind of just the end product here of her standing there without having any little bit of green screen around her. Thanks, guys.